I'm a big proponent of U.S. accountants shouldn't do the work. I think that U.S. accountants entirely should focus on relationships and advice and build the trust, because no matter what happens with outsourcing and with technology, you will always be able to improve your client relationship by building on the trust that only you as a human being can have. And those are the skill sets I think we need to leverage. That human side, that people side, to me is never going away. They're coming to you because they trust you.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Accounting with Confidence. I'm your host, Beth Whitworth, and today I bring a very special episode to you where I had the privilege of interviewing Matt Tate, who is the co-founder of Decimal. Decimal is a company that was created to really help business owners with their back office, with their accounting, with their tax, with the stuff that can suck a whole lot of time, but not necessarily bring an owner joy. And his background comes from being a serial entrepreneur. And it just was a very fun conversation to have. We talked about how AI is changing the industry. We talked about how relationships are so much more important than transactions. Nobody cares if you're good at doing bank recs. That's true. So we also talked about how the values of your business can dictate your culture. And by leaning into your values and making sure that everyone on your team knows what those values are, that you really build a strong team who is all rowing in the same direction. Okay, listen in and hear all of the great things that Matt has to share with us, and also a big announcement that he made as far as what Decimal is doing next. Hi, and welcome to Accounting with Confidence. I'm Beth Whitworth, your host, and today I am here with a very special guest, and I'm going to have him go ahead and introduce himself. Take it away, Matt.
Well, Beth, thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it. And, it's funny, as you were just talking earlier, right before we popped on, you said you're like the anti-accountant. I am that. I run a company called Decimal, and I am not an accountant. I am a recovering attorney who, Decimal is my fourth company. And so I got into this with the idea of I wanted to solve problems I'd had in my past companies. And that's why we predominantly help businesses with their operations, their bookkeeping, their bill pay, their payroll, all the stuff they need to do to kind of get to a point of being able to pay their bills, get paid, and track it all. And that's what we do at Decimal. We really do it differently. We've kind of redesigned how people accomplish this type of work. And we think we've set up a better system of just how you operate a bookkeeping firm. And so for the first 5.5 years of our company, we served small businesses and we grew really fast. At this point, we've served over 1,000 companies in 5.5 years. And we serve the bigger brands, like bigger companies, typically like 2 to 10 million in size. And along the way, we were doing something secret and quiet. Other than that, we were building an operating system to make it easier to operate a bookkeeping firm. And it's funny, you and I are talking today because today is December 8th, and I assume this podcast will come out not on December 8th, but we just announced that we launched 3 new firms today. So we started franchising Decimal earlier this year, and we are helping people make it easier to start their firm. And so today we announced the launch of our first 3, and we have 997 to go.
Wow. So the goal is 1,000, huh?
Or more. That's my first goal.
Okay. Yeah. No limits.
Right.
That's amazing. So in working through kind of creating that franchise model, did you, kind of have a lot of interest up front, or did you really have to go out and kind of sell it and say, this is what we, try, or did your product sold it for you, didn't it?
It sold it for us.
Okay.
It was fascinating. We kind of started talking about how hard it really is to run a firm. It's like really easy to start it, but really hard to scale it. And and it doesn't have to be that way. And over 60% of small businesses fail in their first 2 to 3 years. Accounting firms actually fail at a higher rate. And it's fascinating. And I think part of it is because so many accountants, when you start your job, bookkeepers and accountants, you think I'm just going to take on this role and expand it. And you don't think about the things that you need to do to actually run a company.
Exactly.
And there's a big difference between being a business owner and being a bookkeeper or an accountant. And as we grew Decimal, we started to see how our processes, our Decimal platform, our system and technology could just help kind of give somebody a firm in a box. And that's why we started this, is to just help make it easier, but also to help people do it in a community. Because as you know, like running a business can be very kind of isolating.
It can be
And
lonely.
it can be. And no matter what, you're going to be lonely when you start a company, but there are things you can do to make it easier. And our franchise system is a community of people that can refer business to each other, that can support each other, join CEO groups together, and just generally be there to share the pros and cons of business ownership, doing exactly what each one of them is doing themselves. So
That is great. So that resonates so much with me because I do spend a lot of time talking to people about the fact that you don't come out of school knowing how to do all the things in your business.
yeah.
You specialized, you got a degree in something. I got a degree in accounting, but I had to learn how to do marketing. I had to learn how to manage a team and be a good leader and all of those things. But you think I've got the skills to do the stuff, I can sell the stuff. But when you go to scale, it's a whole different skill set. So I love that you've got something out there that can help those people get started, because that is very daunting. It is one of those things that it makes you doubt yourself, because a lot of times you think,
Oh, yeah, big time.
I went to school for this, I should be able to do it. And we all have our own skill sets. Even businesses that aren't accounting, when their owners get into it, they get into it for a reason. It's not to do the accounting. It's not necessarily to do the marketing. It's to do the thing. So that's where I try to help our clients, do their back office so they can do what they love. So I
No, I
love
think
that.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think I always used to joke, I had a past company that helped restaurant owners. And, restaurant owners are typically people that started out in a kitchen and they were really good at that. The business side was not what they grew up doing. And accounting is the exact same thing. And it could be easier. Like, let me start and say, I actually think, and I bet you're going to agree with me here, I think this is the single greatest and most exciting time to be in the accounting profession, period.
Mhm.
It's a different time. Change is happening by the minute, not by the decade. And that's particularly hard for accountants. As a recovering attorney, I can empathize as well. But it's also the best time because so much is changing. The economics of firms are changing with technology and outsourcing. You're seeing whatever you think about private equity. What they're doing is starting to democratize pay within accounting firms. That's a good thing. And all of these changes are making it really exciting to be in the accounting profession. I just like to make it easier.
Yeah, that's great, because the pieces that we're trying to, and we've been coached to say, okay, we're not transactional anymore.
Right.
It's not just us recording the stuff in your books. We need to be more than that. And the firms that embrace that are ones that have a good back office, who have that structure back there so that they can go focus on the stuff that the clients really need.
Exactly.
We are kind of, I always call ourselves the tax therapists a lot of times, so we're the ones that are talking them off the cliff when they think something horrible is going to happen. The IRS is going to come get them. That is not transactional. That is a relationship. And so I think more and more firms need to be embracing that in order to really find their way through this new world.
Yeah.
The stuff that's transactional and one of those things that, we used to say, well, it used to be, we're going to cut your checks, and that's like
Right.
printing checks and all this stuff. We don't do that anymore. That's
No.
all. Let the tech do that.
Oh, you have to. And, I'm a big proponent of U.S. accountants shouldn't do the work.
Right.
I think that U.S. accountants entirely should focus on relationships and advice and build the trust, because no matter what happens with outsourcing and with technology, period, you will always be able to improve your client relationship by building on the trust that only you as a human being can have. And those are the skill sets I think we need to leverage. That human side, that people side,
Right.
to me is never going away. It's also like, the reality is your clients are rarely coming to you because you're really good at balancing the books. They assume you're good at that. They're coming to you because they trust you.
And that's what's going to build the value.
Exactly.
Whatever business model you're working on, like we're a subscription model firm. It has nothing to do with how many transactions I recorded for you. It's what value do we bring to the table in giving you that trusted advisor, that, even that ear to listen to, what's going on in your business. And for us, we don't limit it to accounting. If you've got employee issues, if you've got, HR, I know that's one of the things you manage with your platform is kind of managing that HR piece. That is a huge piece for any firm, any type of business. Anybody has, if you have an employee, you have an HR issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's really, that's stuff that keeps people from hiring people. I'm just going to do it all myself.
And I got really lucky when we started Decimal, because I started an accounting company and I am not an accountant. They don't even give me access to QuickBooks because all I can do is make a mistake. But that allowed me to focus entirely on building a company and on taking the things that I didn't want to do. And look, when you're small, you do have to do everything. But then you have to look and you have to say, the first set of things I'm going to get rid of as we grow are the things that I hate doing, the things that don't fill my cup, the things that I'm not very good at. Remove those. Then you start to take all the other stuff. When we were talking to a firm owner the other day, he runs a $4.5 million firm. It's a great firm, great size, but he is still swamped during tax season. And I looked and I said, you are absolutely screwed if you want to go make another acquisition or if you want to grow again. And he goes, why? And I said, because you're doing stuff that somebody 3 cost points down from you can do. You should have nothing to do with tax season. Your year should be entirely focused on growing your company, and it should not be seasonally related to taxes. And he just looked and he goes, well, I don't know if I can do that. And I said, well, that tells you where you've capped out. Period.
Yeah.
And it's okay. That's not a judgment call. That is a factual representation of where you are.
Yes. And for us, we have been working for years to get me out of tax season. And we're very, very close. So, I mean, I've started out as me, and then we've added, and now, we're adding a tax manager. So that's kind of my last piece of getting myself out of so much of that. And I am so excited. Because I was also I was reading that you knew when you were in law school that you were really an entrepreneur. Yeah. I knew in high school that I was going to own my own business. And it was going to be an accounting firm, which...
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. I don't really love accounting. I think I was drawn to it because I could make a living at it. Everybody always needs an accountant.
Solid, stable.
But actually, I was an entrepreneur. I was not, it was I'm an entrepreneur first and an accountant second, I would say. So I can relate that being an entrepreneur is something that it's just in you, and
I agree. People can find it though, too. Yes. And it's not necessarily something you're born with. For you, for me, really, like I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Like I always knew I was going to get to this point. I have 2 little brothers. They always knew they weren't. And that's who they are. Yep. Who I am is I like this stuff. I like the risk. I have a tendency to choose the riskier path almost every time. I've gotten better. As the companies have gotten bigger, my risk tolerance slightly changes, or my calculation and decision making on how I achieve risk is different, but you can also find it. And I think that was one of the reasons why we actually got into and looked at franchising. And for us, we barely talked about it, and we ended up with 3 people that jumped in like this. And we already have lots of people ready to sign up next year. And we were lucky enough to go to Scaling New Heights and have the opportunity at that big conference to speak on the main stage about it. And the next thing you know, we're just inundated with people that are like, how do I do this? How do I transform my firm? Or how do I start a firm with you? And this idea of people just wanting to be entrepreneurial is growing. And I think that private equity aspect of entering the profession is another thing that's happening. Is you see private equity come into a mid-sized firm, and every senior partner or senior manager, junior partner that was like going to attain partnership and have leadership of the firm, that's gone. Like that is absolutely non-existent now. And you may get promised retention bonus and we'll figure out a structure for pay. The reality is there are 2 groups of people that are really being successful in private equity. The ownership at the time that is getting the biggest payout, and the junior employees who now have a faster path to getting paid well. The people that are in that mid-level management are the ones that get squeezed out. And so now they're saying, well, gosh, I need to start my own firm.
Yeah.
And they're good at building a book of business, but they never built a business.
Right.
And so many of those people we can help, and we can give them the firm in a box and a community to work in. And like right now, I'm desperately looking for somebody that wants to start our first tax franchise that all the other franchisees can refer tax work to, because we're having that cross referral opportunity where it's all the benefits of the trusted small local firm, but also all the benefits of scale and technology. And so that also is kind of how we got into, we want to start firms. And it's one of those things that kind of sounds crazy for those people that have been following us and Decimal, like, why did you do this? And those people that really knew what we were building, they were like, like now it makes sense.
Yes. Yes. I think you're absolutely right. When you're talking with firm owners and there is a little bit of a, I don't want to call it fear, but there's that private equity is what you hear about. That's going to be your payout. That's going to be your light at the end of the tunnel. But if you don't have a system in place, it doesn't matter how much private equity comes into you. It's not going to succeed. You're going to.
You have to be out of the work like you're getting.
Yep.
You have to have a really good technology stack that's modern.
Yep.
You have to not, like, having the right tools but not knowing how to use them is completely not helpful.
Exactly.
So you have to have the right processes around it. You have to have the right cost structure. Right. One of the things that also led us to this was we'd made a couple acquisitions, bought a company from KPMG a few years ago, bought another company last summer. We looked at almost 100 firms to acquire. And what we noticed was the lack of this clear technology operating system. And that led to the lack of really good economics and margin. And it's always kind of interesting to me and fascinating that so many firms that make a business out of helping other companies operate well, operate really poorly themselves.
Yes.
You should have 40 to 60% gross margins on bookkeeping. Mm-hmm. Most people have it on advisory work. No one has that on bookkeeping. They're closer to like 18 to 25. You should be able, if you have $1 million firm, you should be able to take home 300 grand a year, 350, 400. Mm-hmm. Talked to a guy the other day that's got a $1.3 million firm and he's making $102,000 a year. That's not healthy.
No.
So all of that, you have to make the right choices. But here's the other thing. You have to be willing to continue to adapt.
Yes.
The right way.
And that has been something that we have, as a firm, been behind. And part of it is me being that risk taker. But also, you have to be willing to change. And accountants, most are slow to change. But you have to keep up.
Just a little bit.
I've been in this a long time. I've seen everything from the green ledger paper that we were writing our journal entries on. To now it's just AI and all the things. And if
QuickBooks Desktop is still making money, and it's because of accountants.
I know. And we've been rapidly moving our people out of the desktop because that's where I grew up. Hey, that was the only thing when I started.
It's your safety blanket.
Yes, it is. And we're moving people quickly because it's going away, and it should.
It is.
I mean,
but it's also not the right solution anymore.
No.
Like, that's the big thing. Is QuickBooks Online a better accounting system? This is going to be crazy. Who cares?
Right.
QuickBooks Online integrates with all the other tools that people really care about.
Exactly.
Because you want to know what a restaurant cares about? Toast. They care about Toast because they're getting paid. You know what a law firm cares about? Clio, because that's where they're getting paid.
Yep.
They care about Stripe. Businesses care about Square. They care about money.
Yep.
And then they care about, how do I pay my people and pay my bills? And then guess what? It all needs to make it into a ledger. And then the smarter, the more mature businesses want to understand the KPIs of their business, how that business is operating. Nobody cares about the ledger.
Right.
They care about what comes out of it and how it's understandable.
And what went into the ledger. That's it. Yep.
So the ledger needs to integrate, and it needs to be good, but the reality is nobody cares.
Right.
And I think that's also kind of like a hard thing for most accountants to kind of grasp. And it's something that we struggle with on our team is, we've got a client that for the years, they've been with us for a long time. They're good friends of mine, and people still call it a Matt Tate special deal. I'm not allowed to sell anything anymore. So, but they never give us any input on their deferred revenue. But every month they look at their somewhat closed books and present them to the board. That means that whatever we've put in there for their deferred revenue, they trust enough and they're happy with. But for some reason, our accountants for years struggled to we're not going to close the books because we haven't gotten the input from the client. And I finally convinced them. I said, the client's input is they didn't give you input, which means they're fine with what you have. Well, we need them. No, you don't. At this point, please stop. And so we had to transfer the client around until we finally got to the one accountant that would say okay, we'll close the books. And now they're moving on. And the client's happy. It's great. They've been with us for almost 5 years.
That's amazing. Well, and so let's circle back to that as you mentioned your team. So you work with 100% remote team. Yep. How are you keeping everybody engaged and moving in the same direction? And what is it that makes it work for you?
Every time we hire somebody new, we've got about 102 employees. And every time we hire somebody new, first couple of weeks, hopefully the first week, I'll try to spend half an hour just talking to them, getting to know them, asking about their family, kind of where they're from. I care less about the job than I do who are you as a person? And I have no impact on hiring anymore. So you've already been hired before you meet the CEO. And I met our most recent employee last week. And she was hired the week before Thanksgiving, but because of travel and some other stuff, I had to wait 2 weeks before I could talk to her. And I asked, I said, how is everything going? And she goes, I've been doing this for 20 years, and this is the most engaged team I've ever been with. Everybody's reaching out. They're all super helpful. The teams in the Philippines are proactively talking to me. My US team is, my director is. This is already a really fun place to work. And to your question, this isn't for everybody. I firmly do not think that remote work is for everybody. But for people that it's right for, we treat you like an adult. You have goals. How you accomplish it, when you accomplish it is up to you. If you can do it in 20 hours, I'm totally cool with that. I'll probably double your client load, but I'm very happy with the fact that you do not need to sit your butt in a seat to accomplish it. If you want to go pick up your kids or go to a play or take your son ice skating or go shopping or, head to the grocery, great. That's just fine with me. Because for us, we give people the tasks that they're best at. Our U.S. accounting managers, they're in charge entirely of making sure the quality of work that gets to the client is great, and then hopping on client calls and meetings and just managing the relationship generally. But then we also have a big team in the Philippines. And guess what? In the sales process, we talk about that team in the Philippines. Period. They are part of the team. They are part of why you are getting the price point you're getting, which is high, but guess what? It would be way higher. and they're part of the quality of the work. And they're the ones that are in there when you're sleeping. And so we treat them as adults too. They're all remote. No one goes remote in the Philippines. Oh, we can't trust them. Like, why would we do that? If I'm trusting my US adults, I can trust adults in other countries. Our head of tax is in Bulgaria because he was a tax manager for KPMG when we made the acquisition, was there for 10 years, asked if he could just move back home. And I said, yes. Probably won't give you a raise for a while because your cost, like the exchange rate works in my favor for quite a while.
Right.
Have given him pay raises. But we don't care. You can do you, and we trust you. And then we put you on a team. You run a remote company too. I talk with our team about when you are remote, you have people on islands. It is our job as a leadership team to build bridges and roads. We need to connect people as much as possible. We don't need to connect them to us every time, but to each other. How do we get them working together, helping each other out, hopping on daily stand-ups? How do we do those things that help them be connected as people? And that's led to some amazing stuff. We had a woman in the Philippines whose husband unfortunately needed open heart surgery, and she couldn't pay for it. And we gave her some money to help, but the team started a GoFundMe campaign.
Wow.
And he's 2 years post-surgery now, I think 18 months maybe.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing great. And like somehow, and this is a credit to Michael, our COO, to Taylor, our director of operations. We have a team of people that has all bought into the fact that we're going to create a great culture and a great company, period. And we happen to be remote.
I'm assuming then your culture is very tied into the values of your company that you know,
big time.
Yeah. And that is what drives that. So is there a way, like when you were hiring a new person, how do they learn about what the values and what the culture is? Or do you have recorded meetings, or are they one-on-one with someone? How are they learning all that?
You know, it's funny. I just rehired an intern that we had a couple of years ago, 2 summers. JJ was his name. He's a student at Butler, and when he did an exit interview, I asked him, I said, what stood out to you at Decimal? And he goes, I think I'm the only kid going back to Butler Business School that could list the values of the company that he or she interned with. He goes, you guys talk about them with clients, you talk about them in hiring, you talk about them in meetings, you give people props for showing the values, for demonstrating them well. Like these values, he's like, do the right thing. I know that isn't just like morally do the right thing, but it's do the right task. Like there are layers to it. Yep. Default to transparency. That's not just you being transparent to everybody, but it's their job to be transparent to you and with you and their bosses. And move fast and make things better. Like everybody is required to improve everything. Like status quo is not a good thing. Status quo is already expired. Right. So how do we keep moving that forward? Mm-hmm. And then win together? This is a team sport. We are competing with people. We do want to win. We want to help our clients. And he goes, that will stand out more than anything else. And I was like, JJ, I'm going to be quoting you on podcasts. I will attribute it to you with your name. But I was like, that to me was the greatest example of these are real values that we talk about, we live, and everybody knows.
Good. That's how we roll as well. I think all of my team ours are real short, so it's.
What are they?
They are, we serve, we solve, we do, we learn, and we care.
I love it.
And there's, an explanation under each one of those, but and every one of them is also in relation to helping each other on not just the business, but the personal level. We want everybody, I care about everybody's family. So when you said they started a GoFundMe for an employee's husband, that is something that I can relate to. We don't just care about our clients, we care about each other and we care about their families. So, and the world
people
and
business.
all the things. Yeah, it's a people business.
If we don't make it a people business at our own firms and our own companies, how can we expect our clients to treat it as a people business as it relates to our relationship with them?
Exactly. And that, I think, is where all businesses need to be going and need to be this overarching, some fear and trepidation over AI, and it's going to eliminate and it's going to replace me. And if there's a relationship and there's people, you're safe. If you're participating
Yeah.
in being, people and caring about each other, it's fine.
It's going to replace some of the work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
It may even replace all the work that you do, but it won't replace the ability that you have as a human being to build trust and credibility and accountability.
Yep.
Those are three things that AI cannot do. And I would argue, particularly in the finance sense, won't be able to do. And you don't want it to do.
No.
Like there are people things, and that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to get off of the fact that your role is to also do this work.
Right.
It's why I actually really believe in having an outsourced team in the Philippines or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
You can go South America, you can go India, you can go wherever you want to. But what it does is it starts to train you to give work away, to give away the things that you don't need to do, because then you can start to give more away. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, to us, we tell our team in the Philippines, they're the ones most worried about getting replaced. Like, I'm not going to replace you. I'm going to let you do more. It is going to be like giving you steroids.
Right.
You're going to be able to do more with less time. That's going to be awesome.
Yes. You can serve more people because you're using tools that are making it more efficient. And you're still at a good cost point. So, I mean, it's a win-win. All the way around. But it's definitely back to accounting firms. It's one of those things that it's change. Change is scary.
Big, scary lions and tigers and bears and change. Oh my.
Exactly. So, okay. Well, I love all of this. I think, we've probably, maybe we knew each other in a previous life with how, your values really resonate with me. We both, that entrepreneurial spirit. I have always said I sort of wished I started my firm, but was just running the firm and didn't know how to do the stuff, because you really get stuck in it.
Oh, I can see that.
You just get stuck in, okay, I'll do this tax return because I did it last year. And it seems like it would be an easier path to not know, just manage the company.
You have to grow faster so that you can pay yourself, but it gives you the time to start to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am so excited for you and starting this franchise journey. I think that is amazing. And I'm glad today's the day that you announced. That's a, kind of sweet.
It's good timing. Fortuitous.
Good timing. So are you going to Scaling New Heights for 2026?
We will. Joe might get mad at me for this, but we just signed a partnership deal with Joe and Woodard, where we're going to partner on helping train our franchisees, and he's going to help us find new franchisees, and we're just going to generally dive into a deeper partnership with Woodard. So you will see us at Scaling New Heights. I'm not sure yet if we'll be exhibiting or sponsoring or if we'll just be attending. But I think all of us and our decimal franchisees will all be there.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I do give Woodard credit for saving my business several years ago when I was miserable.
They do awesome.
I was doing it all and I hated it, and went to my first Scaling New Heights, and they taught me that I'm the only one who can fix it. I'm the only one who owns it. I'm the only one who can fix it. Why am I sitting here being miserable when I can take the opportunity to fix it? So now I sit here, and like I said, I've been doing this podcast for 3 years this month. And that is something that I never would have even thought would be on the horizon for an accounting firm owner. And here we are.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to wrap it up.
Yep.
Quick question, because we didn't really touch on it. So when you're not running Decimal, I understand you have a family. What do you guys love to do?
Well, I'm an unpaid Uber driver.
Okay.
That is my part-time job.
Yep.
I have 11-year-old boy-girl twins, Madeline and Elliot, and a 9-year-old Charlotte, almost 9-year-old. So we just like to do stuff with them. We actually took them to Hamilton last night here in Indianapolis, and they've gotten into musicals. We did Les Mis about a month ago. Okay. But they're all into sports: soccer, baseball, softball, lacrosse, all the diving even. My wife was a college diver.
Oh, my daughter, she did some springboard diving when she was little.
That's awesome. It's fun. You get into your kids' stuff, and
Yes.
that's kind of the phase of life we're in. My wife is way more important than me and works as well. So we like
Okay.
to travel with them. We're both remote. So last summer we lived in Costa Rica for almost a month and
Nice.
did kind of a work vacation, and just that's kind of the phase we're
I
in.
love that. That's amazing. We're kind of moved into the empty nester realm, but
Ooh,
I remember those Uber drivers and being we traded off, my husband and I. We only have one daughter, but yeah, and we did musicals. We've had season tickets to our Fox Theater here in St. Louis since she was
oh, that's awesome.
13. We still have them, and now that she's grown up and working as an adult, she doesn't always get to come, so I definitely cherish that when she can. So,
No, that's cool.
okay, I am so happy to have had this conversation with you,
Thank you for
and
having me.
I look forward to seeing you at Scaling because I will be there.
Perfect.
Hopefully, speaking in multiple places, and yeah, I love it. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you for sure. So,
Well, thanks again for having me. I really appreciated it, and I look forward to getting together.
sounds great. Thank you so much, Matt.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks for listening in. I hope you found some golden nuggets in a lot of what Matt had to say about running a company, leaning into your values, and really bringing things to your customers that are necessary, but also fulfilling. So for them, they're really giving their business owners freedom. They are able to take away some of that stress. And, I had mentioned to Matt that maybe, we knew each other in a previous life because that is my philosophy as well. We live to live our lives, not to run our business. And we want success in both our business and our lives. And so I think listening to him really mirror the feelings that I have was just very powerful. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will make sure that we are linking to Decimal in the show notes and more information about what they do and how you can learn more about them. And in the meantime, we just want you to remember that we want to empower you to build a business and a life that you love. And we'll talk to you next time.